Hello, I'm John Burgess, and I'm the manager of the Leisure Travel Division at Preferred Travel. And one of the most enjoyable parts of my job is staying in and inspecting grand hotels throughout the world. I spend a lot of time meeting general managers and director of sales so that when we book a hotel, it's a personal booking. It's a face-to-face, oh, I know who that is, and it gives us a lot of power in trying to get upgrades, additional amenities, what have you, for our clients. The one I want to talk about today is the Ritz Paris, probably one of the most iconic hotels in the world. Cesar Ritz was responsible for 3 hotels: the Ritz Paris, which opened in 1898, the Ritz London, which opened in 1905, and the Ritz Madrid that opened in 1906. Now, before I go any further, these are not to be confused in any way with the Ritz-Carlton hotel chain. That's a completely different operation. The Ritz Paris was actually bought by Cesar Ritz. It had been a palace, a private palace, to a number of royal families in Paris prior to becoming a hotel. So 5 years ago, the Ritz closed because, as in any property of that age, the mechanics that operate the hotel needed to be addressed, along with the decor, the paint, the carpeting, etc., etc. So it closed 5 years ago, and there was great trepidation in the industry that when it reopened, it would never be quite the same. It would never be as grand, never as elegant, never as memorable as the old Ritz. Well, absolutely false. So the night before it closed, we happened to be in the Hemingway bar, iconically the most famous bar in Paris, and talking with Colin, who has been the head of the bar, the head barman for over 40 years, and has stories that you wouldn't believe. Later that evening, perfectly by chance, we happened to meet a gentleman from Florida as well, whose company was hired to photograph every room, photograph every article in each room, catalog, document, and barcode every single item for storage. The storage was in 57 cargo containers, the kind you see on cargo ships. They're absolutely enormous, that were somewhere outside of Paris in a heavily secret and heavily guarded place. So we went back to Paris to see the new Ritz, and it was beyond belief. We were back in the Hemingway bar when it opened at 6 o'clock. And I should explain, the Hemingway bar is very small, maybe only 40 people maximum. So if you're not there at 6 o'clock, you're not going to get in. And once again, there was Colin. So we were talking with him about having met the guy who was in charge of storing everything. And Colin said, well, let me tell you something. Not everything in here is property of the Ritz. Some of these artifacts are mine, and I wouldn't allow them to be stored with everything else. They came to my home, where I took care of them until the Ritz reopened, and I brought them back and put them where they belonged. So we walked around the bar with Colin as he pointed out every item that was his, the history behind it, what have you. We then did an inspection of the rooms, which are absolutely magnificent. The rooms, the suites actually, include the suite for the Duke and Duchess of Windsor. It was their official address after he abdicated the British throne, and he moved there with his wife, Wallis Simpson. They lived in the Ritz for many, many years. It was also the official residence for most of her life for Coco Chanel. So these are grand, grand suites, and the rooms themselves are absolutely magnificent. So after replacing all of the wiring, all of the electrical wiring for smoke detectors, security cameras, lighting, all the air conditioning, all the heating, all the plumbing, everything that you can't see that's behind the walls, the hotel was then rebuilt. The original furnishings, paintings, objects of art, china, silverware, glassware was all returned where it belonged, and any restoration that was needed was done prior to installing it back in its original location. And the hotel itself is absolutely mind-boggling. It is one of the grandest hotels, if not the grandest, in the world. So if you're considering a trip to Paris for a special occasion in particular, the Ritz isn't cheap. It was never meant to be, but it will be a stay that you will never forget for the rest of your life. Ernest Hemingway had one little quote that he wrote to a friend, which was, "When I dream of an afterlife in heaven, the action always takes place at the Ritz Paris." Couldn't have said it better myself. So if any of you are interested in the Ritz, any of its history, or interested in booking it, feel free to call any of us at Preferred Travel at 239-261-1177 or visit our website at preferrednaples.com. Thank you.
Well, I can't